Okay, welcome back. Now it's time to apply some of the knowledge that we've just gained in the last video. I'm going to be asking you to work through some in-text citations here. So it might be useful to have some scrap paper or a window open up in Word if you prefer to type, as well as your cheat chart so that you can consult that when you're working. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some scenarios, and then I'm going to ask you to write sentences and include the appropriate in-text citations. So if you're ready, let's get started. So let's take a look at the first example. And for the first example, I'm going to ask you to imagine that you're reading an article that's written by Aubrey Graham that was published in 2019. You're on page 100. And on page 100, you read, quote, Niagara College students have been proven to be 60% more attractive than Mohawk College students. Write a sentence where you direct quote this material and make sure that you're using the author's name. You can pause the video and try that now, and on our next screen, we'll take a look at the answer. Okay, time to check your answer. Here's an example that I've given you, although you may have phrased things slightly differently. As Graham 2019 notes, quote, Niagara College students have been proven to be 60% more attractive than Mohawk College students. Page 100. Time to try another. Imagine that you're reading a book written by Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton in 2020. On page 78, you read, quote, in 2018, students at Niagara College were abducted by aliens at least 100 times, unquote. Write a sentence direct quoting this information, not using the author's names in your sentence. Give it a try, and on the next screen, you'll see a sample answer. Here's a sample answer. Researchers claim that, quote, in 2018, students at Niagara College were abducted by aliens at least 100 times, unquote. Bracket, Markle and Middleton, comma, 2010, comma, P period space 78, close the bracket, period. Ready for another? Imagine that you're reading an article written by a ton of people. Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, Kim Kardashian, Oprah Winfrey, Salma Hayek, and Ariana Grande. The article was published in 2016. You're on page 55 and you read, quote, the most common complaint of dental patients is anxiety when seeing the dentist. This anxiety can be extreme. Of patients surveyed, 30% complained of anxiety-induced dizziness at dental appointments, unquote. Write a sentence where you direct quote a part of the information. So not all of the information. Pick part of the quotation and use the author's names in your sentence. Okay, time to check your answer. Here's a sample answer. According to Swift et al., 2016, a study has shown that, quote, 30% complained of anxiety-induced dizziness at dental appointments, unquote. Page 55. You may have chosen a different part of the quotation, which is fine. Now we're going to try some paraphrasing. So imagine that you're reading an article written by Harry Styles in 2018. On page 67, you read, quote, nursing students at Niagara College often suffer with stress-induced migraines. Write a sentence paraphrasing this material and use the author's name in your sentence. On the next screen, we'll take a look at a sample answer. Time to check your answer. Here's an example. Styles, 2018, asserts that migraines are a common disorder among Niagara College nursing students. Remember that everybody paraphrases differently, so you may have quite a different response, which is fine, as long as you've retained the meaning of the original quotation. Time to try another. Imagine that you're reading an article written by Kylie Jenner and Kanye West. They published the article in 2014. On page 99, you read, quote, "There are 22 bones in the skull," unquote. Write a sentence paraphrasing this information and do not use the author's names in your sentence. On the next screen, we'll take a look at a sample answer. Time to check your work. Here's a sample paraphrase. The skull contains 22 bones. Bracket, Jenner and West, comma, 2014. Close the bracket, period. Time for another example. Imagine that you're reading a book written by Ed Sheeran, Billie Eilish, Kane Brown, Luke Bryan, Travis Scott, Jason Derulo, and Katy Perry. The book was published in 2014. On page 64, you read, quote, "Diabetes is a disease in which your body either can't produce insulin or can't properly use the insulin it produces. Insulin is a hormone produced by your pancreas. Insulin's role is to regulate the amount of glucose, sugar, in the blood," unquote. Now it's time to write a sentence paraphrasing some of this information. Don't try to include all of it. Pick a portion that you want to paraphrase and use the author's name in your sentence. Ready to check your work? Here's an example. The pancreas is responsible for producing insulin. Bracket, Sheeran et al., 2014. Close the bracket, period. How did you do? It's time to assess how those examples went. If you feel that you need more practice, I will have some options in the Week 4 course folder for you to continue to review APA in-text citations. It's important that you get comfortable using these because you will be using them in all of your writing from now on. So take a few minutes to look at the extra resources that I placed in the Week 4 folder for you, and reach out if you need some additional help with APA in-text citations.